Hi, I'm James with TVS Pro, and today is Spark Day.
This is the first unboxing. It is a tightly packed foam case here. Kind of like what the Phantom comes in.
I should put this one in
Osmo logo. Look at this light. That is so light. Even with the case. Oh. No way. Look at that thing. Oh, it's so cute. It is. It's just cute.
There's really nothing I can do to explain how tiny this thing is. I can put my hand next to it, I can put a cell phone next to it, I can put a Mavic, a Phantom, whatever. You just have to get it into your hands. The battery is even smaller, and if you can believe it, the whole thing charges with a similar charger to what your cell phone charges with. 5 volts, pretty simple. So this video, an unboxing as well as some quick tips. Stuff that necessarily isn't in the manual, but I feel are pretty important before you take this out and fly it. I'm also curious about real-world application. What is taking... God. Why are we sitting here for so long? Hey, I've got my Spark. Oh, so that's what's going on. Perfect, down periscope. I'm talking about camera quality. What is the image quality to this? I've got a Hero5, and granted the Hero5 will do a higher resolution and a higher frame rate. We'll dumb it down and match it without color correcting as far as resolution and frame rate to the Spark and see how they fare. I also want to know what can and can I not do with this thing. What are its limitations? Okay, so diving right in, unboxing. Here's the box, and this is the standard DJI Spark, not the Fly More combo. So unfortunately, we don't have a radio yet. Nobody really has a radio yet. Hopefully it comes soon, okay? Similar type of quality as far as the other packages and stuff like that. And the first thing you'll notice when you open it up is you've got 2 boxes. Obviously, the larger of the 2 is where the actual copter is going to be. This is condensed foam, just like the same as the Phantom 4 came in. This is wrapped around it, and you'll break that apart. And on the inside of this is you've got basically an in the box, and it will tell you everything that this is going to come with, okay? Inside this other box, you've got on one end the charger. That's just a power supply. And then on the other end, you're going to have your full set of manuals, quick start guide, and whatever else, as well as a micro USB cable. That's it. Put those aside, take out my charger, take out my cable, and if you're wondering, the QR code is just the part number to the cable, but feel free to scan it if you'd like. And there is the Spark. I've got my silicone gel, we don't need that, and cable fits into there, cable fits into there. I've got 2 spare props, one clockwise, one counterclockwise. They unlock and install the exact same as a Phantom or a Mavic, just a push down and a quarter turn, and they are labeled white and black. Props go in when you close it. There you go. Okay, time now for quick tips. The Spark is going to work just like all the other DJI products that you are experienced with. Push the battery once and it shows you its battery life. Push and hold it and it kicks on. That's pretty self-explanatory. Kick it on, let it warm up, just like always, let that IMU get its bearings, okay? If it's not paired with anything, you're going to get red in the front and flashing yellow in the rear, just like all the other systems because we don't have a radio paired to it. But now that it's on, let's go over to our settings of, and I'm using an iOS device. Going to go to Wi-Fi, and you're going to go through and find the Spark. Right there. The password, I've never used this iPad with this Spark. The password is going to be found in two places, underneath the battery compartment and also on the side of your box. Right there at the bottom, there is a password for the Wi-Fi. Once I see the check mark, I can go back to my app and it should pull up with the Spark information. Now, when I first powered this on, it asked for a firmware update. So they had some bug fixes before they even started to ship these out. You'll want to fix that first. Now that I've got it paired up with Wi-Fi, I've connected the password, it recognizes it on the app, I can hit start flight. Jake, as my camera guy, always posing, even when the camera's not rolling. Here we go, quick tips. First thing you're gonna wanna do, well, probably the most exciting thing that you're gonna wanna do is quick launch from your hand. This is a really cool feature, and I actually trusted it enough to let my 5-year-old test that out. It worked great. He held it out arm's distance, it saw his face, took off, he got excited, and then we controlled it from there. It was awesome. Before you can do that, you've got to be able to enable certain options in the app before you can launch it from your hand. First thing you'll want to do is that symbol for the sensors is touch that. And when you initially turn this on, the backward flying and the advanced gesture control will be off. You need to enable the gesture control in order to launch, and it gives you some quick tips here. Don't overlook this. Take a moment and read these. One of the most important ones is that bottom one on the right, and if you're looking at it on a phone, it will be just linear and right at the bottom. It basically states that if for 60 seconds it is not tracking an object or it is not paired with a radio, it will just descend straight down from where it's at and hover to about 1.5 meters, roughly 3.5, 4 feet, okay? And it will just sit there so that you can then approach it. Keep that tip in mind. If you take this, if you're controlling it with your phone or your tablet or whatever, and you take this outside of range of its Wi-Fi and it doesn't reconnect, after 60 seconds, it's going to come down. So if you took it out over a body of water or over a tree or whatever else, it's going to come straight down into that. That's second quick tip, okay? Once I enable that and I acknowledge it, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to enable backward flying. Why? If I am tracking an object and I want to walk forward, it will just sit there. It's not going to back up and track me. And if it just stays there and I approach it, it will most likely lose either my hand, myself, or whatever other object it is tracking. So I recommend enabling that, but again, it doesn't have reverse sensors. So it will back up into a tree, a wall, whatever it is. So just be aware that if you enable that backward flying, it can crash. But for tracking purposes, probably a good tip. Another quick tip. You're going to notice another symbol that is not on any of the other systems from DJI. You've got this circle with arrows down at the bottom left, okay? If I enable that, all of a sudden these two circles appear, as well as a third symbol up top over on this side. These represent your sticks. If I hold my fingers on those, it's the same as mode 2. On my left is my yaw and my throttle. On the right is my pitch and roll. If I release my fingers, they obviously disappear, but that's how you're going to control your copter. The other button on the top right-hand side, if I enable this, I am basically now gimbal tracking with the accelerometer built into my device. So as I tilt this down, so does the camera. So if I wanted to, I could actually fly this and tilt it, and I'm controlling the camera at the same time. The reason they do that is because on the other radios, you've got that wheel up on the top left-hand side, but without that wheel, how do I fly it and control the tilt of the camera? They were smart and actually included it into the accelerometer of the device. Another quick tip. You've got camera controls on the right-hand side, just like before, but you'll notice if I go into here, I've got auto and obviously manual, so I can adjust either my shutter or my ISO, my sensitivity basically. Most of the time, and I think for this camera especially, I just leave it in auto. But if I go to my video settings, I have no video settings that I can change. 1080p at 30 frames, that's all you're gonna get. But if I go into my settings here, I still can adjust my white balance. I can add grid. I can add my histogram if I needed it, and I can slide that around so it's not in the way. And my camera on-screen display. That is going to display what camera settings it is at and also tell you how much time left you have remaining on your SD card for stills or video. And as I cycle between photo and stills, those settings change. So now it says JPEG, and I can record 5,258 with this particular card. But if I go back to video, it tells me I'm at 1080p, 30 frames, and I've got roughly an hour and a half worth of video recording. I want to go back to stills though. If I select that middle and I cycle over to my stills, those options now change, and I've got multiple options for still photography. Single shot, pretty self-explanatory. Multiple shot, it's going to take 3 shots. Automatic exposure bracketing. This is kind of cool. If you have a scene where you are crazy exposed on one side and kind of underexposed on the other, and you don't want to take the time to expose for that, and plus you only have your shutter and your ISO to change anyways, shoot it in auto exposure bracketing. I'm going to take a shot here real quick. Takes 3 shots. Let it think for a minute, and I can go over to play, and here's my shots. And if I say select, I can now access those 3 stills, and you can tell that each one of these 3 are exposed differently. Kind of gives you a chance to select which one of those is exposed better than the other. Time shot, pretty self-explanatory. You tell it how many seconds you want before you can take that photo. But the other mode that I'll show you in a second video for intelligent flight modes is gesture, and it'll take the photo automatically just by making a sign at it. Shallow focus. This is more of a digital type of replication. Does it really have or provide you a shallow depth of field? Not really, because it also doesn't have an extremely wide aperture, right? But this does have a 1/2.3 inch sensor, which is slightly larger than a 1/3 inch sensor like what's in an iPhone 7 or a GoPro. So that may help with some of the low light, but it's still really tiny, and that aperture isn't big, so it's more of a replication so that you can have your subject in focus and your background out of focus. Play with it and have some fun. Panoramic, pretty self-explanatory. You've got 2 options, horizontal or vertical. Again, one of those things, play with it and have some fun. Another quick tip, I would recommend folding these props outward just so that it doesn't jiggle that camera more than it needs to. Centrifugal force will kick those out on their own, but I like to fold them out anyways, okay? So now that I've enabled advanced gesture control, I'm going to hold the copter facing me and tap the battery button twice. That activates it, and it's now searching for a face. So we'll push it twice. Lights will go green once it finds my face. Props start up. And when they go red, I can let go. And now it's flying. Once it's in the air, if I put my hand out, the lights will go green, and then I can control it left, right, up, and down. Kind of simple. From there, if I want it to land, I just simply put my hand underneath it. And that's a palm launch and a palm land. Another tip before you go flying. This up in the front has 1 optical camera and 1 IR sensor. These are not flawless systems, okay? And it's also using those for obstacle avoidance. These are light sensitive. If you are flying this early in the morning or at dusk, it may not see your hand because of too little low light. We've seen the same thing with Phantoms and Mavics when flying up to dark objects in some of our previous videos. It just doesn't see it. So don't expect a flawless performance from this in various type of lighting and in various type of either, high contrast, very bright whites and very dark blacks. It has a hard time a little bit. Okay, I've got my Hero5. Let's go check out image quality. You be the judge. Okay, and if you're looking for more in-depth training or instruction, particularly on the intelligent flight modes, the Spark has Quick Shot, and any of those modes in there, none of them are available in any of the other DJI systems. So you'll want to click on this video here to check those out, and be watching. We've got some Epson Moverio glasses here that, thank you Epson for providing these to us, and we're going to give these a test with the Mavic and the Phantom and give our review on those. Again, if you've got any questions, feel free to leave some comments and whatnot. If they're simple ones, I'll get to those. For more in-depth troubleshooting, I recommend you contact the dealer or the source from whom you've purchased your DJI system. And as always, thanks for watching, good luck, happy flying.